Hello, my name is Richard Corbett from emergebydesign.net, and welcome to my weekly Celestial Compass Report starting on Monday, July 21st through Sunday, July 27th. Now, as we come into this week, I want to remind us that we are in the final days of this lunar cycle, and we'll be having a new moon in Leo on Thursday. So in that sense, it's a very much a week of transition as we're closing out this lunar cycle. And I want to get right into the charts to show you what I'm looking at right now. But to remember that as we come into the work week or whatever your week means on Monday, to remember that we're in the final phases, the final hours and days of this lunar cycle. And at this stage, we're bringing something to a close. Now, this world right now is incredibly chaotic. We are truly living through virtually unprecedented astrological activations, frequencies. And so there's a lot more that's happening in the patterns within the patterns. And I'm going to talk about some of these longer term patterns in this week's report. But right now, in this monthly cycle, we are coming to a close. It's symbolic of endings. Endings are the seeds of beginnings, something learned, some sense of wisdom. So as we may have had a lot of mental pressure and activation last week, I was talking about the channel of abstraction, gate 64 and gate 47. We still have the South Node in gate 47. Mars is in conjunction with that South Node. There's a lot of energy that's stimulating confusion and mental, emotional ruminations of the past, to remember that there's accessible right now something to be gleaned, something to be grateful for, something to incorporate, and also possibly something to let go. This is a really potent, important time to ground ourselves, to plant us in the seat of our soul, particularly being connected to our personal authority, wherever that is. But this self-nourishing right now, in fact, that was the last week when we had the potent third quarter moon in Aries, though, we were looking at gate 42, line 6, which is the line of nurturing, finding some truth and integrity to the emotional growth and development of our experience. So this is where this idea of some element of truth and wisdom may be available to us right now as we slow down just to hopefully collect and reflect these final days of this wild lunar cycle that we've been on. So let me go ahead and pull the charts up and let's get out. We'll start with the sun and we'll build some layers into this week. Starting with the sun still in gate 56. It's called the gate of stimulation. And I'll just draw a circle around this throat expression gate. Whenever I see gate 46, whatever planet is there, I'm always thinking about listening to my voice. These activations represent stimulation from the cosmos. Now, of course, that always we want to direct that to our authority and how we interact with this conditioning force, but always helpful here to listen to our stories right now when we're sharing with friends and family. While the sun is in gate 56, we can hear where we're falling on our own personal spectrum of empowerment or disempowerment. And we're dealing with some deep elements, particularly Pluto this week. And so we're touching on the shadows of ourself and how we've grown and learned from this last lunar cycle. As a reminder, we had a new moon in Cancer last month. And so we knew we were going to be dealing with symbolism in terms of our own emotional security or insecurity, our family, our home, things that are very close and personal to us. And then we went through to the first quarter moon in Libra. So we were dealing with our partnerships and relationships with others that are very stimulating concerning that emotional inner security. And then we culminated that with a full moon in Capricorn, representing these structures and the outward facing efforts that we give out into the world and how that relates in that opposition of the full moon to where we are in regards to emotional inner security. And so it's really a cycle of learning how is our personal emotional integrity balancing the act of living in public and the structures that we build with others, and how we're doing that. Not wearing what Brandy and I always called the fake face, right? Sometimes we have an inner world and then a fake outer world. And so this last cycle was about working with that dynamic, integrating the balance between inner integrity and outer integrity was a big force this last month. So again, as we're moving towards the close of this cycle, to listen to that sun in gate 56, and how is our stories with others, how are we hearing the frequency of our voice? And we know, only each of us know when we're speaking our own truth and integrity, and that can just be a sign of our inner world right now and how we've dealt with this past month. But there, important message with the sun in gate 56, putting the earth in its opposition and polarity in gate 60. Now, gate 60 is the gate of limitations. And I want to mention a couple things about this right here. This is very important because not only is the earth still in gate 60, it's conjunct Pluto in gate 41, but Pluto's in retrograde. And as we get towards the fall, Pluto will go back into gate 60 one final time. It spent several years there, and it, of course, moved forward into gate 41, but it's going to go back and touch on this gate 60. So thinking about, again, these ideas of limitations. Now, of course, we're talking about Pluto, which has great cultural and generational ramifications, but individually thinking about where have limitations come from our past, whether it be family of origin issues or anywhere along our spectrum of aging and growth, dealing with limitations. Now, that is also important because Chiron, still traveling forward at the moment in Aries, has moved into gate 3. Now, Chiron doesn't get an activation in a natal human design birth chart, but I like to look at Chiron, of course, in these transit charts. And so we can say right now that we have Chiron and Pluto, the Earth, eventually Pluto, as we get later into the year here, activating this channel of mutation. So this is extremely important for each of us, that there's something bubbling, gurgling. This is the cauldron of individuality. It's almost like a birth canal of uniqueness that we are all working with amidst the backdrop of these wild times right now. Now, why is that happening astrologically? Well, there's several reasons. One, all three of the outer planets, Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus, have all changed signs since November. In November, Pluto moved into Aquarius, where it will not be going back into Capricorn again. In March, Neptune moved into Aries. Now, Neptune's in retrograde, so it's going to go back into Pisces again before coming into Aries for good. And just on July 7th, Uranus also moved into Gemini, where it will be temporarily before turning retrograde and going back into Taurus, and then eventually coming back into Gemini. So I'm sharing all that because I really want to indicate that we're starting to see the formation of this some astrologers are calling it a minor triangle. It's two sextiles and a trine. And it is really incredibly important as we look ahead for the next couple of years. Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus moving into very supportive, communicative, free-flowing frequencies with each other. Now, they're going to move in, this triangle is going to continue to get tighter as we move through the month of July, where all three of these planets will be at 1 degree of their respective signs. And then because of the retrograde movements, they're going to separate a little bit. And then as we move into 2026, they're going to come back together. So we're going to see a similar triangle, very strong frequency in terms of its aspect next summer at this time next year. And so we're getting a preview, a flavor. It's almost a portal into the future, and we can feel the change, right? With Uranus, the planet of shock, revolution, electricity, it's lightning moving into the sign of Gemini, mutable air, which is the most changing, fast-moving, communicative sign we have. We can see all of this happening right now. It's a lot to sort out, and this new moon that we're heading towards is really going to bring us deep into that void of change that we are all experiencing right now. And so again, I right away just want to mention how important for all of us to use our modalities to ground ourselves, to find that inner tranquility and peace as best we can. And I want to encourage all of you, if you haven't had a chance already, please check out my partner Brandy Jordan's videos. She's also been posting on our channel just some short, easy to do, but transformative exercises to keep us in our body right now. It's very easy to get caught up in the external noise and drama of the changes our planet is going through right now, and how important for us to stay connected with our body and our innate wisdom. So please check those out. Very helpful information. And so, yes, just to go back to that triangle, that even when one outer planet changes signs, that brings great generational change, cultural change. We can feel it's like a tectonic shift in the cosmos. But the fact that all three of these planets have changed sign just since from November to July, that is incredibly significant. And the fact that they're moving into this very interesting trine, there's just so much stories. I can't get into the full depth of each one of those right now, but just to share and bring the awareness that that's why we're feeling so much angst. It's like time literally feels like it's speeding up with this much change right now. But one of the most important things about those three outer planets is they are really forming the structure right now, the scaffolding of the cosmos. This is where they are holding space. And as we follow all the other faster moving planets and the transits and aspects and conversations that they have with the outer planets, this is what can bring that daily and weekly awareness into how we're learning about our own growth and development, the areas of our body and our life, and the thematics of where we're defining and creating our own sense of uniqueness. And again, I'm just leading with these words into where we're going with this new moon in Leo. So much more to say about the unique creative contribution that we're all in the cauldron of right now, but it's very mutative on both a collective scale as well as an individual one. So I will continue to direct us to keep our attention on the movements of these outer planets. And we're getting to see in the astrological wheel that blue triangle forming in the chart, creating that scaffolding. Other developments we wanted to mention just on Monday that are going to be in effect for the week is that Venus in Gemini, currently in gate 45, is forming a square with Mars in Virgo, also having just come through its exact conjunction with the South Node. This is the archetypal male female energy. This is the yin, the yang archetypically. We can see this not only in relationships, a little bit of tension in our relationship dynamics, but also personally feeling both our yang energy and our yin energy. It is creating some dynamic tension this week. And so I think it's something just to be aware of. Where are we feeling too aggressive or too passive, maybe in a sense, between this quality? And that square will be with us all week. I'll come back to that again, I think probably at the new moon chart, and just want to again show the sun just about to leave Cancer here in gate 56, line 4. That transition into Cancer actually happens in the line 4 of this gate. So again, we're getting a transition this week, as well as coming in towards the new moon we'll be looking at. So let's go ahead and move it into Tuesday. Now, on Tuesday, the moon will have entered Cancer, and as we're heading towards the new moon. And again, as we look at these aspects here, it's just a very dynamic week. A lot of these aspects are very exact because we have Pluto at 2 degrees Aquarius in gate 41 and Saturn at 2 degrees Aquarius in gate 25, conjunct Saturn in gate 25, which I've been talking about week after week, and I will continue to, because as I've shared, I believe that gate 25 is the fulcrum of all the patterns we're seeing right now, particularly in 2025, but also Uranus moving into Gemini at 0 degrees Gemini. Any planet passing through the changing of a sign in the first couple of degrees is directly integrating with that outer structure. And that's what's going to be part of what makes this new moon so poignant, that we'll get to in just a few moments. But here on Tuesday, we see the moon closing towards a conjunction with Jupiter that'll happen later in the day on Tuesday. Now, Jupiter is in gate 39, and this is a pressure gate. They're stimulating the emotional spirit, we call it. This is a very individual chemistry as well. And to me, whenever we're seeing any of these planets in individual gates, we're thinking about not only that archetypal frequency that the cosmos is bringing us, but we're also looking at our own chart, at the individual activations that we have in our natal chart, because these transits are bringing us part of the overall storyboard of individuality, our own personal struggle to be inspired, to find the deep sense of creativity, and how we can share that in a self-empowered and hopefully empowering way with the world. I mean, this is really, again, even though the world has such a collective catastrophic at times feeling right now, there is deep personal mutation available in the frequencies of what's happening. And so that's where I keep coming back to, if we feel ourselves getting overwhelmed right now, to turn the dial, to change our perception inward, to use that as a catalyst to align with personal self-mutative growth. It's a great catalyst right now. There's, again, creativity. If you have a creative inspiration, could not be better weather to be engaged with that right now. Maybe there's something from the past that used to interest you that we put aside due to the demands of life and family that you want to pick up again, to bring it in. We are, again, really getting to whatever we do now is really planting the seeds of growth for our future. Now, of course, the present is always connected to the past and the future, but these outer planets and the configurations now are heightening that sense. In other words, these are extra potent seeds right now. So I think that's why I appreciate doing these reports, is that helping us all just really elevate our awareness right now, the intentionality. Having presence right now, so important. And as I say that, I'm thinking also about Uranus in the gate 20. Gate 20 is what we call the gate of the now, is the name of it in the Rei Ching, the gate of existentialism. This is the verbal expression of I am now. I am just, I am, and being I am. What is that right now? Thinking about the individual activation of Neptune and Saturn and gate 25, the spirit of the higher self. Our spirit, in a sense, is being tested by the limitations of Saturn and the discipline that he is asking of us to be present to our spirit. But then Neptune providing this beautiful liminal space of unlimited possibility, connecting with the sense of dream world with right now. What is our personal dream or possibility of our self-empowerment, and where the seeds of growth today may take us in the future, particularly next year and even the year after, because that minor triangle I'm talking about is going to be the scaffolding for these next 2 years. So the moon, again, back to the Tuesday afternoon, evening, will be conjunct Jupiter, bringing this expansive energy of Jupiter with the emotional quality of the moon in the final hours of this lunar cycle. What a wonderful time to really breathe in deep, stop, smell the roses in the dark of the night. This is the darkest phase of the moon. And again, it's sort of a portal of lunar energy. If we can go inward to calm and relax and regulate our bodies, to be present to where we are, find a sense of gratitude for what we do appreciate in our life and where we can go from here. And that'll be part of this closing part of this lunar cycle as we head into our new moon here. And just to mention this, the sun also has just moved into Leo as of Tuesday as well, Tuesday morning. And again, as it moves into a sign, just like every planet changing signs now, it moves into 0 degrees Leo, which is going to pick up on an opposition to the Pluto in Aquarius, a trine to Saturn first, and then Neptune, and also a sextile to that Uranus. And so we can see how this scaffolding the outer planets, this is the storyboard, and the faster moving planets are interacting and integrating and stimulating that overall configuration. All right, let's go ahead and we'll move it into Wednesday. Here we have the last day of this lunar cycle. Again, we can see both sides of the coin here. We have some really beautiful, interesting blue lines, these soft sextiles and trines. Doesn't mean they're easy. We always want to remember that there's not a good or bad. We really want to remove that type of subjectivity. There is a spectrum of consciousness and perception available with every aspect, and we will find our place, ourself in some point of that aspect. But we can see here that we have the minor grand, well, this triangle between the outer planets I've been talking about. And when the sun gets to 1 degrees Leo over here in gate 56, line 6, the sun is in that sextile to Uranus and trining Saturn, and then hours later will trine that Neptune. So there's some really integrative frequency here. Again, so potent as we contemplate this wisdom space of the lunar cycle. And yet on the other side of the coin, we've got that Venus-Mars friction, right? This balance within relationships, within the energy to be expedient with Mars and Virgo, and Venus and Gemini just ready to want it all, to try everything out, to speak it out as she may feel like doing right there, and how that can butt up against the masculine archetype of just get it in place, do that Virgo, get it done with expediency. Yeah, providing a little bit of a challenge, particularly possibly in relationships, but also squares and the friction they create are the dynamics required for growth and change. And so again, not to think of squares as some sort of bad thing. They are a catalyst for growth. And so finding that stimulation here, and also to comment on that sun moving into that opposition to Pluto. In a general sense, when we see an opposition like this with Pluto, we can be feeling some sort of power struggle. We are certainly obviously seeing that on the world political stage, a struggle, but at an inner sense, we're talking about Leo now with the life force energy in his home sign, fixed fire Leo. This is the self-empowered creative self. Taking the seeds of creativity from our childlike presence of years ago into our current state of adulthood. And what does that look like? How do we shine out into the world with that freedom of play and creativity? And the challenge that Pluto is in opposition of that, saying, yeah, but we may have shadows, we have limitations. That Earth in gate 60 I was talking about, there are roadblocks in our development that we need to readdress. Now, as I say readdress, this is a helpful time for that, not only at the close of a lunar cycle, but we have Mercury in retrograde right now in Leo, in gate 7. And so with Mercury in retrograde for the next few weeks, this is always a supportive time to, particularly whenever we feel confused physically or mentally, to stop, reflect, review, reanalyze, reorganize. Very supportive time, particularly as we're contemplating the new moon, which I'm going to go to right now. So this new moon taking place in Leo. On Thursday, July 24th, it is exact perfection at 1:11 p.m. Mountain Time. My charts are all generally for noon Mountain Time, except for the lunations. So here, this is the one chart out of the week where it's not at noon. It's actually at the moment of the new moon. We can see that taking place in Leo at 2 degrees and 8 minutes here. And this is taking place. The sun in Leo has shifted into gate 31, putting the Earth in its polarity in gate 41. So let's add some layers to the context of this new moon. Again, this is when the moon has gone completely dark on the side, on our visible side. But I always think about the other side of the moon, where she is fully illuminated, having almost a private conversation with the sun. It's almost, I think of it as a lunar software upgrade, like a computer. And so they're having this dynamic luminary conversation that we are a part of, and it's starting this new cycle. So the intentions here I think can have profound impacts on our future. And the reason I'm saying that is because not only are we getting the preview of this outer planet triangle, which will again get a little bit stronger over the next month, then dissipate towards the end of the year and come back much stronger as we move into a year from now. So it's part of that outer planet configuration, as well as when we look at this 2 degrees of Leo and we fast forward to next summer or June, July timeframe, Jupiter that's in a Cancer right now will be at those degrees. It takes Jupiter, spends about a year in a sign. So if we think about Jupiter a year from now, it's going to be in those early degrees of Leo, where the sun and the moon are now. So in that sense as well, this particular new moon feels very connected with a year from now. And so that's why I think, again, intentions right now, extremely fertile for planting those seeds of creativity. And of course, I'm saying creativity because we're in the sign of Leo, how we can shine out with the exuberance and abundance of magnificence, finding our creative magnificence right now. Could not find a better planting season. So wherever we may be, or you may be in your stage of life right now, if you're wanting more or feeling that you're under mutation right now, to have those visions, those Neptunian dreams, certainly connected to healing as well, knowing that we've been through tremendous emotional growth and development, to know that even little actions right now can have great ramifications in the pattern of the future that we're moving into. So really encouraging all of us just to, breathe, take whatever small steps, big steps, according to your personal authority that help you align with this burning, mutative, creative evolution, personal evolution that we're going through right now. Excuse me. So we have this new moon opposite Pluto. And again, I mentioned this sort of as creating this dynamic tug of war energy of a power struggle with the Lord of the underworld. And he is in gate 41, a collective gate called the gate of decrease. It's the pressure to start a new cycle of emotional experience. And with Pluto, we know it's transformative. And we know that there's something very deep going through a spiritual alchemical process. And so part of the seeds of this intention are balancing the challenges of the shadow world that we all have some experience with, where we're looking at how do I let go of things from the past? How do I appreciate and accept the positive things that they brought my growth and development? But there's definitely this plutonic transformative seed planting at this particular new moon of self-empowered creative expression that is also directly tied to the other two outer planets, because the new moon is in the same degree as Neptune in gate 25, which is line 5, and also trining Saturn in gate 25, line 4. They're both moving in retrograde right now, so they're going to hold this very powerful conjunction energy. They didn't quite make their conjunction, and they're going to pass back into Pisces together and then move forward and finally perfect that conjunction in February of next year. And so again, I'm really, I think, trying to emphasize we're in the middle of a big pattern here. And so that's why it's important for the daily self-nourishing. It's a marathon, not a sprint right now. But each day is important, but not getting overwhelmed by the large tidal oceanic currents that are underway right now. I have tremendous hope for our future, but that doesn't mean that we're going to have the peaks and the valleys that come from our day-to-day experiences, obviously. But again, just to point out, these aspects we're seeing at this moon are very tight in that word of aspects. They're very close. Which gives them more strength in their frequency, which gives that dynamism. It's like static, when you pull something out of the closet in the dark and the sparks fly. There's a very dynamic energy that's happening that we're living in, and so all of that can be a stimulant to pause, breathe, and be curious. I really feel like giving curiosity awareness right now really opens our perspective, because so much transformation is happening at so many layers right now. Also, I want to look at the signatures in the body graph. As I've mentioned, the south node still traveling through gate 20, or excuse me, the north node traveling through gate 22, and Venus traveling through Gemini has moved into gate 12. And so we are getting the channel of the social being. This is about individual emotionality. It's the authentic emotional expression, very personal. All individual circuitry is a deepest inner core of who we are. And so our emotions are being stimulated. This cosmic energy is impacting us at a deeply emotional level. It's connected to where we may be going in terms of the North Node, this emotional authenticity and integrity. We're getting an opportunity to play with that right now, right? And Venus, this planet of desires and potential tranquility, is in gate 12, this emotional expression. So again, another potent new moon as we share with others to listen to the frequency of our emotional authenticity and truth right now. Are we speaking it? And if not, no blame or shame, just to recognize, where am I putting on fake face right now? Where do I need to bring in more honesty and authenticity to this relationship or experience right now? Because I just feel like as I talk about bigger outer planets, long-term transits, day-to-day transits, one thing it's not helpful to run from right now is the truth that we personally know about ourselves, inner truth. We can run right now, but it's going to be hard to hide from the ramifications of being inauthentic. I really think that we're being stimulated again at this deep core, gate 25, who we are as a spirit, as a living entity with a soul on the planet right now. We're under a bit of pressure to be who we are, not someone else, not in comparison. And that's really difficult due to the polarity that we're seeing, not only politically, but socially, culturally. We are in deep throes of polarity right now. And so there's a lot of comparison. There's getting sucked up into the team drama, the tribal drama, but yet the cosmos right now is really pushing us into that individuality. Where is my voice? What is my voice? Where can I cultivate this sense of empowerment to elevate my sense of higher self, the spirit of my higher self? And so this new moon, as we can see from the astrological configurations, it's right in there. And I think that's what I mean about a potent lunar cycle of planting seeds of creativity that we'll get to deal with, work with, play with creativity as we, after this new moon, will be growing in the illumination of the moon each day and evening, rising to a full moon in Aquarius, and how we are going to be expressing that in the social atmosphere. How is our creativity reach a crescendo in a couple of weeks? So wonderful to be contemplating that. Also want to point out with the sun in gate 31, we also have Mercury in retrograde in gate 7. So we're getting the channel of the alpha, a design of leadership for good or bad. Now, what I think, this is a collective channel. And so we'll certainly be seeing this in the collective atmosphere out there. But because this new moon is line 1, I think it takes on a much more personal frequency. In other words, it's about self leadership. Gate 31 is the gate of influence. This is about self-influence. How do I feel? What is my influence? This is the questions of a line 1. It's the investigation, introspection. It's the why. It's the foundation stage setting for the growth of that hexagram of influence. And emphasized because Mercury is in gate 7, the gate of the alpha, the gate of leadership. And so this really is about the patterns of improvement of leadership into the future. But this new moon itself, because it's in Leo and it's line 1, it feels very personal. So I think part of the seeds of creativity are about creating personal leadership, a personal sense of, well, how do I feel influential all by myself, and what's important about that, and gaining the inner emotional strength to stand in that. It will get opportunities in the transpersonal world as we move about our days, but the symbolism here is saying, what does self-leadership mean to me? What is, when I think about my own spirit of higher self and the integrity and authenticity of self-empowered expression, what seeds am I planting right now that are will grow into leadership and direction through my example as a living being in public out there? And so I think that's a big part of this. Again, the challenges, some of the friction of this signature of this lunar cycle are going to be the yin yang, the male female archetype of how do we balance, how do we maintain physical balance through these turbulent waters. And I think it's that daily, just the daily practice right now can be so soothing and provide the sense of solace that we want to have right now. So yes, incredible new moon. I'm excited even next year to look back at my journal, look back at what I've been writing about contemplations for me personally, what I'm attuning to, and what takes place next year. I think there's definitely a correlation that we'll get to see. Let's go ahead and we'll move it forward again. As we get to Friday, not a lot more to say except more of the signature of that new moon. So again, this being the first day of that lunar cycle, to still be really sitting with it, really enjoying the dark of the moon, right? This deeply reflective, quiet, still. I think of a still ocean at night with no light. It's very mysterious, and this is a mysterious new moon in that way, with that darkness, the emotional quality of it, the spirit of our higher self being touched on by Saturn and Neptune, just incredibly potent. The moon will have continued traveling through Leo and will have had its conjunction with Mercury in gate 7. The moon's still in gate 7 when we get to Tuesday at noon here, stimulating an emotional quality to the idea of where is my personal leadership of myself and the influence we're cultivating. We're in the lower trigram at the beginning of this lunar phase. So it's an opportunity to self-nourish and cultivate our own inner strength, the Leo fire of integrity, of leadership for me. Not that it's not, at this moment it's really about cultivating inner emotional channel of a social being here, our own emotional integrity. So very self-involved these first few days of this lunar cycle. And now we'll take it into Saturday. And on Saturday, I wanted to mention, what did I have written down here? Moon. Yeah, the moon is going to be moving into Virgo. And again, as every planet that's faster moving, like the moon, whenever they're changing signs, we know we're going to get a multitude of aspects all in rapid succession. So when the moon moves into Leo, which it'll do in the afternoon of Saturday, we're gonna get that triangle of outer planets all drawn into that. And when the moon goes into Virgo, of course, we're going to have an emotional ability to organize, to get things done. We're in the growing illumination of the moon. So it's kind of like that tidal swell coming in. We're going to be building an energy. And what's happening amidst all that is the moon is going to form a trine with Chiron in that gate 3. So there's a real potential for healing over this Saturday, Sunday timeframe with that aspect. And when I think about that moon trine Chiron in this emotional attunement to healing, remember that it's happening at a very deep level. This gate 3, this sense of mutation. We are evolving and changing and tapping into that with our own reflective ability. Really, there's something there. There's something there that we can tune into to really listen to our bodies even closer. Where do we need attention? Where are we at in that process right now? Could be super supportive for sure as we're leaning now into this new lunar cycle of growth and development. And then lastly, we'll take it into Sunday. And on Sunday, we also have Venus still traveling through gate 12 And also, Venus is going to form a sextile to that Chiron. So we had a moon working with Chiron. Now we've got Venus working with Chiron. We're feeling the undercurrents. It's almost like a deep gurgling of something happening. There's something happening below the water of our bodies at our cellular level. And so I think right now, really bringing attention to that, awareness to that just mindfulness, so valuable right now. Going to be really easy in the noise, the collective noise out there, to get caught up creating spaces right now. Even just a few minutes every day, spending some time with Brandy and her videos is really going to take you into your core. And that's where the truth is right now. This is a time of seed planting that can have tremendous self-empowering benefits for each of us as we move. I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you all again so much for joining me. I wish you a lovely, beautiful new moon in Leo this week, and I'll see you next week. Thank you, and bye for now.